Hello, hello, hello. So, welcome to what's technically business clinic number 3, because of course this is the second run of the business booster and there are already 2 in there. I have got so much to tell you today. I'm going to try and get through as much as I possibly can. We'll just wait and see for anybody to manage to join in. Don't want to leave everybody behind. And while I'm here as well, don't forget there's loads of other bits and pieces in the units in the business tips. So check in there as well, because there's lots of tips about Facebook and just general tons and tons of tips. Now, we're on time, so I'm going to get started. This business clinic is very much for people who are coaches, healers, consultants, facilitators, whatever it is, massage therapists, anyone who is in a service-based industry, anything like that. So it's very much that kind of arena. I have got yellow stickies in my book because I have got so many different things to tell you. So let's see what I can actually get through with. Hey Sandra, I'm glad you've made it. Wonderful, well done. Right. First of all, let's get real about a few things to do with the coaching or service-based industry. This is a conversation I must have had about 3 times this week. So let's get really, really real about it. 1, you might have a very, very caring nature. You might love helping people. That does not mean you have to make a business out of this. Okay, it does not mean this has to be a business. Just want to be really, really clear on that. This could be a part-time hobby, or the courses you've ever done could just be things you thoroughly enjoyed learning, right? So it's very different taking something you love and actually making it a business. And the reality is that we do need it to be a business, because what a business means is that it will be able to hold you up, bring you income in, keep you going, and so on. That's all that it means, right? It doesn't have to. If you decide that you want to make your business into your love of coaching, healing, whatever it is, whatever the therapy is, if you decide you want to make that into a business, then there are some realities about it. And that is that you will have to cover over time, not tomorrow, over time, those 4 areas that I talk about in that webinar, how to make a successful business, right? You will need to make sure you've got really reliable foundations. The reason you need the foundations is because that stops you from being caught out by stuff, that stops you from being firefighting, and that enables you to grow. That's why you need those very strong systems, procedures, foundations. It creates consistency, okay, which as mums we often need, or as we get older, we need that ability to be consistently available. You will need a really good service and product right now. So I'm just assuming that you're very passionate about what you do. So let's say that's a given, yeah? So quite clearly you need that, but you might need some extra qualifications. You may not. If you want any advice on that, because some qualifications aren't worth the paper they're on, and some are. You know, sometimes it's practical, sometimes it's not worth it, right? Then we talked about what tends to actually really worry people, which is that you will need to gradually get your head around sales, marketing, customer service, handling clients and so on. You will need to do those things. You don't have to do them tomorrow, but you will need to get your head around it. Just as with the foundations, you will need to have some form of measurement of your accounts, your finances, and so on. And then the best thing about running your own business is that it's, not the hardest, is that there's a degree of personal development involved. In order to do this, you're going to have to step up, you're going to have to go for it bit by bit, not all tomorrow, bit by bit. But there is personal development involved in running a business. that's one of the reasons why business is so spiritual, because it makes you step up. Yeah? So you don't have to turn your lovely hobby that you adore, this thing you're so passionate about, you don't have to turn it into a business. But if you decide to, then you are going to have to eventually cover all 4 of those areas that I talked about in the Successful Business webinar. And if you do want to be able to earn enough money to be able to support yourself and grow your business, then it does need to make a bit of profit, because that way you can invest it back into the business and so on. So you do need to man up. That's an awful term, man up. But you know what I mean. Again, it's about this sense of personal development. The next thing, number 4, is you will need to be wise. You will need to use discernment. There will be situations where you don't know so much about something. Someone will be telling you, and you need to listen to you need to ignore your fears, right? But you do need to listen to your common sense as to whether what they're talking about is crap or not. Yeah? Right? That's number 4. So if you decide to make a really good going of this, you are going to have to be wise. And then the next rule is, I am about to give you a ton of strategies, okay? But no strategy works for everybody. So you are going to have to know your business, know what you're about. So this is where I talk to you about what are your, in the introduction, what is your USP? Who are you? What's the point to your business? This is one of the things to do in the health check. That's why that's so important, because you need to know, actually, does this strategy make any sense for me? And I'm going to give you an example of why the strategy I'm going to teach you doesn't work for me. Ironically, yeah. So yes, you're going to have a strategy, and then the 6th thing is that in order to have a business, there's a customer relationship, there's a customer journey where they get to know you, they learn as to whether they trust you or not, and so on. And therefore, there is always a degree of free stuff that you provide. This enables people to get to know you, but it also means that you then don't need to have conversations about why you're charging for your services, because you're providing a pile of free stuff, and therefore people don't have to pay, right? So for instance, I have been in the most dire of situations, and I provide a pile of free stuff to help people who might be also in a terribly awful situation, right? I know that at that point they don't have any money, and I provide it completely for free because I was very lucky and I had a lot of support. I do have a lot of support, and so it's like my way of giving back. It's also my answer to anybody who comes to me and says, why are you charging for your services? Because I've got kids to feed and, rent or bills to pay and so on. Don't be ridiculous. I can't actually even be doing that conversation half the time. So the important thing is sharing from the heart with no strings and no expectation whatsoever, right? Marketing yourself with no strings and no expectation. So for instance, I'm sharing this, right? So I'm sharing this program. At the moment, it's completely free. Yes, eventually it's going to have a price tag associated to it, a tiny price tag that's not even going to really, it's like tiny, but I have no expectations of how many people would then leave, stay, or continue to work with me more in depth. I'm happily sharing it all. And the reason that I can share like that is because I'm making sure that it's not a burden to me. I'm making sure that it's something I'm enjoying, it's fun, it means that I'm helping people that I particularly wanted to help anyway, so I was going to have a lot of these conversations anyway. It means I can help them loads better. I've now systemized it so that I can run it really easily, as well as everything else I'm going to be doing. I know it will get a ton of people out of trouble. I know a few of those people will then decide to stay so that they can stay every time I rerun the Business Booster. And I know that a small group of people from all the things I'm going to tell you about are going to go, well, that's great, but actually I need a bit of hand holding to do all those things, right? So I can happily share all of that. Just as I have a Facebook group and I share stuff in there, and I wouldn't expect engagement. And I know that if people aren't engaging, it's not their fault, right? It just so happens that maybe when I did it, or the way I described it wasn't applicable. People were really busy. I didn't manage to catch their attention. Or the biggest sin of all is I created something that I knew everybody needed, but they didn't actually want it. Yeah. So no strings. I see so many coaches saying, I can't understand it. I've been given all this stuff for free and nobody's taking me up on it. So it's their fault. I'm not saying you should blame yourself either. Right? Just saying, give with no strings attached. I give loads and loads and loads of tips on Facebook and Instagram every single week. There's always a call to action. Well, it would be daft if I didn't tell people, because I've seen so many people where you don't actually know what they're doing. So there's always a call to action. It might be like my Facebook page, come and join my free group, come and do my free course, get to know me a bit better. Or it might be, I've got this course on, I've got this program on, it might be, but I share it with no expectation or worry about who is going to take it up. Okay? So those are those 6 things that I think are really important for you to really think about. 1, you don't have to make this a business. If you do, then you will have to cover all 4 of those areas I talk about in being a successful business. You will have to man up and do more personal development. You will need to be wise and use discernment. And whilst you will need to learn strategies, you do need to be aware of the fact that they won't all be applicable to you. And you do need to share from the heart with no strings. You do need to market with no strings attached. You do need to goal set with no strings attached. You'll see me talk about that in the first clinic. You set a goal as to obviously what you need to achieve in a month and what you'd love to achieve and bring in an income, but you don't create your, you don't market, you don't do your, the sharing of the message. You don't do that in order to earn this. Okay, you don't. You disconnect. You make sure you're clear on your goals, and then from the heart, you do whatever program intuitively comes to you, you share. Okay? So, good. I've managed to do that in 15 minutes. That's brilliant. That is just something I really deeply felt I had to share with you. The next section is a strategy. You remember I said that not all strategies are suitable? This is a structured strategy to how to make sure. Now, this is for those of you who are deeply creative, who need to still have a structure so you actually earn some money from it, right? So I'm trying to rein you in a little bit. And I want you to be more creative on your marketing and your selling, right? You creatives, that's me as well. I needed to rein myself in. I had about 101 different products and I have reined it in. And that part of this structure absolutely works for me. This is also for those of you who aren't particularly creative, don't find it particularly easy to come up with content or ideas and so on. This gives you an idea of the minimum that you're going to need to create in order for your in order to have a solid structure behind your service-based business. Okay? Right. Now, this is not my structure. This structure came from a brilliant guy called Pete Scott. Sales is not my key thing. I have known Pete for years and years and years through my salon. He does amazing sales training. I've done several of his bits and pieces, and this is a particular structure from his. So, what he recommends is that when you're looking to create your service list, that you have 4 aspects to it. Number 1 is freebies, which is what we've just discussed, right? Freebies are to give people a taster of what you do. They are lead generators. A lead generator is where you get people's names, get people interested, bring them in, okay? Ideally, you don't give anything away for free unless you've actually got some method of contacting them again. I must admit, I'm a little bit crap at that. I've got some lead generation on my website where I get them onto my email list. Of course, they can unsubscribe if they want to, but I've got some things where I give free stuff on my website, and for that I get their email address. I've got things where a free course in my group, and for that I get them into my Facebook group. This program doesn't really have that. I don't take your email address. I probably should. Can't be fagged. But obviously, this program is in a way a lead generator for my Let's Get Started program. So that's see how a lead generator is there. Leads can take years. Yeah, years and years and years, right? So you could have a lovely little freebie and it could literally take somebody 3, 4, 5 years before they go down their own. I mean, Pete Scott is a good example of that. Because of my fibromyalgia, I have followed him for years, nearly made it to several of his events that he ran, never made it to a single one until about a year ago when I signed up to a new program he set up, and it was just brilliant, all about sales, which I am doing much better at, but I'm still, doing some more learning on. So, freebies. Everybody needs some freebies. So for example, if you're a massage therapist, then you might go to events where you do little free tasters for people. If you're a tarot card reader, you might do free card readings. Make sure that whatever you give for free, the way to make sure that you can give it freely from the heart with no strings attached is that it's not a burden. Right? So I do free healing every Monday. It's not a burden. It just means I need to be organised enough to post the link to my Facebook page, my Instagram, and to my group, and to write the list of who said they wanted healing, and then spend 15 minutes sending healing every Monday. That's absolutely fine. Happy to do that. It's not a great big burden. What was a burden? What was one of the free things I gave that was huge? Trying to think back now. Something just popped into my head and it just flew out. I tell you what, yes, this business booster, I do the 2 business clinics, which I really, really thoroughly enjoy. I think probably in the next one, I will do 1 business clinic and 1 kind of Q&A session just in Facebook. I think it'd be less difficult for me to fit it in then. So that would be an example. So don't do anything. That's one of the ways that you can make sure that something isn't a burden. And that's how you can then make sure that your freebie has a light feeling to it and doesn't have a yucky feeling to it, technical term. If it has a yucky feeling of strings attached, they won't pick it up, right? Because they won't like it. Right, it must be interesting, it must be valuable. People are really, really busy. It's unreasonable to expect them to want to pick up your program. It's also unreasonable to expect them to do it just because you know they need it, right? Some people aren't ready, so just let that be. It's fine, okay? Other taster free things that you could do. Yes, that's what I was talking. I was talking about the tarot card reading, wasn't I? Yeah. Now you see, I know some people who do a tarot card reading, and they'll put 3 cards turned backwards, and you pick which one suits you. Brilliant. I know other people who do free tarot card reading, and they come online and they'll go, I'll pull a card for you. And 2 hours later, they're still pulling cards for people. That is a huge burden. It might be great to start the momentum going, but you shouldn't do it for more than a couple of months. Do you see what I mean? Freebies. So every service-based industry, you're going to need some form of freebie for people to get to know you and so on. I think one of the reasons why 20 years ago, when I first started doing Reiki, I think one of the reasons why I was so successful was because I was Reikiing everything I could bloody touch, right? Every man and his dog. I had that sense of enthusiasm, and I was just Reikiing everything that walked, right? And funnily enough, I built a fully full business literally before I'd finished my Reiki level 2, right? So that's part 1, freebies. If you're doing, some of you will have more difficulty with that. If you're doing like a counselling business, difficult for you to give freebies on that. So what I'd recommend with that would be some tips. And I would recommend that you see what you're saying over and over and over and over again. And something that you have a slightly different viewpoint on, and I would put it together in like an ebook or a little online course in your group. Groups are fabulous with units, yeah? That would be what I would do if you were counselling. I'm going to say it again. Please make sure it's valuable. Please make sure it's interesting. Okay, there was somebody I was talking to relatively recently. They didn't ask my opinion, so I didn't tell them. And they were talking about a freebie they were going to give, which was a pile of very standard NLP questions. Yeah, you know, if people don't pick it up, you have to understand it means it was boring and not very exciting. I've done it hundreds of times, so don't feel bad. Okay, so that's your freebies. Right, next thing is low risk. Right, you'll see this in sales funnels, they call it. You'll see this in sales funnels over and over and over and over again. You'll see a low risk product of 7 to 50 quid. Yeah, something like that. Something that helps you to build a relationship with them. You get their email list. They try something out. It's a no-brainer. Over deliver. Give them. Make it something that they definitely want to have. But something where maybe afterwards, you know, the reality is they'll probably want a little bit more. Make it something that you know they're going to want to share. An amazing meditation. A low risk. If you were in massage, then what you might also do is incorporate it in a network marketing product of some kind. Yes, I know, network marketing can be viable, can be useful sometimes. You might have if you're in coaching, I've got several low risk, very, very affordable things. So I've got a program called Time for Change people can download. It gives them a real sense of what I'm like, my meditations and how I work. Obviously this business booster, it's eventually going to be priced initially at about £29 and then probably at about £59 for you guys. It's going to be a reduced rate because you get your first chance, but this would be what would be considered a low risk thing. Always over deliver because they're really looking, so you're going to make it worth like a ton more. Okay, so free, low risk. Then you have your main signature program. Now this was my biggest struggle because I had so many things. I'm a prolific creator of content. I have learned to focus that creation of content and love of sharing stuff towards marketing, as in sharing tips online on a daily basis. That's how I have shifted myself over, because I just love to write, basically. So your signature program is your main program. I was advised you should have one. Okay, I've already broken that because my signature program would technically be Let's Get Started, which is a membership program for small businesses. But I also have the Body Reboot program. So technically I shouldn't have the Body Reboot program. It's too cheap, and it means I've got two signature programs. Okay, well, what the hell? The reason I still got the business reboot, the Body Reboot, is because I thoroughly enjoy doing it. I'm very good at running online stuff, so I can manage two things at once. And I don't believe, ultimately, that you can be a success in business without looking after your body. So this is me walking my talk. It keeps me accountable. And there's going to be a joint offer of the two together. So that's right. So I'm breaking my own rule, but that's what your signature program is. You're meant to have one program, one thing that people know you for. Okay? This is your main profit earner. Eventually, this should not be one-to-ones. That's really tough. And the reality of that is that's not going to be viable for some of you initially. Initially, your signature program is going to be one-to-ones, and what you're going to do is you're going to create a package of one-to-ones. Rather than chasing the one-to-one after one-to-one after one-to-one after one-to-one, it's like what they call a transaction-based situation. You're going to put it all together into a package, what you know they need in order to create a change, right? So you would create a signature program of one-to-ones that they would buy of 3 to 6 months, whatever it is. If you were a massage therapist, you might even include oils that they use at home. If you were a beauty therapist, you might actually have packages for different skin types, so you would include the products. If you were a coach, you might include in between phone calls or in between activities, or some kind of online creation, course that you've created to supplement it, right? That would be a package, that would be your signature program. Ideally, eventually, and this has to be with some reality, I do not agree with the people that suggest that you can skip the step of doing one-to-ones, right? I think they're talking bollocks. I'm sorry, I think it's perfectly viable, but in the end, you do need to have that whole step in there, okay? So I think that, yeah, those people who tell you that you can miss out that whole section, start selling programs for $5,000 a pop, big klaxon warning, rubbish, right? But eventually, know in your head that you're aiming to move away from one-to-ones eventually. And you're aiming to create group programs, signature programs. Now, the advice I was given was that your signature program needs to be worth around £2,000. I can hear you all going already. £2,000, what the hell are you talking about? Okay, just chill. £2,000. It could be £2,000 over a whole year. So you could offer a membership program for somebody over a whole year, and it could be worth £2,000, right? The reason that it's going to be easier for you to sell that than sell a pile of one-to-ones that adds up to 2,000 is because in that 2,000 you're offering a real change and transformation, and that is actually easier to offer than a shed load of one-to-ones, okay? So, again, I have gone against this, and that's why it's really important to know what is your ultimate goal. What is your ultimate USP? Now, technically, in order to do that, I should be targeting a much more successful level of small business owner and a much more wealthy group of ladies who would like to get healthier and fitter. Okay. The problem is that what I actually care about is bringing my stuff into the mainstream. What I actually want to do with the Mummy Whisperer is write a shed load of books and spread it out to the masses. I want to bring what I love to the masses. And so that's why this particular strategy I've had to adapt. So that's why I have 2 programs, not 1. And that's why I'm not charging the kind of level I should be charging. So in order for, let's get started. I did have one, right? I did actually follow this. My heart wasn't in it. So there was no point me continuing, okay? I did have a program that was like £250 a month, something like that. Felt really heavy. Does that make sense? I did have a weight loss program, which was like 150 or something a month. It felt really heavy, right? So it didn't suit me. So remember to listen to your heart, okay? So, and it may also be that when you first create your signature program, maybe that initially actually you do have to do it cheaper. You want to get momentum going, but you're balancing momentum with the fact that there is a degree of people getting more value from your program because they spend more. There is a degree of that. So for instance, there is a likelihood that if I run Let's Get Started over a couple of years, that there will eventually be a group that need to go on to do something different. Yeah, there is, because they won't be getting the value from it because I'll need to be pushing them a lot further. Does that make sense? So I hope by using my examples there that gives you a feeling for your signature program. Your signature program, you're looking for it to be either £2,000 down like that, or £2,000 over a period of a year, something like that. This is your profit earner. This is what's going to pay your bills, invest back into your business. This is, your main thing. This is what you want to be known for. What do you actually want to be known for at the end of your life? Good question, hey? Right, so that's the 3. The 4th one is the VIP program. Now, ironically, you'll see people talking about creating a VIP package massively, and they really plug it. One of the reasons why I like Pete Scott is he said create a VIP package but never sell it. He said in actual fact you hardly ever want to sell this VIP package because it will be, you're going to charge a shed load, and for that obviously you're going to give a shed load. The only way to now have one-to-ones with me will be in a VIP program, but that puts me into service debt. Does that make sense? Where I've I've promised a certain degree of one-to-one service with me. I mean, the only reason somebody's going to want to work full-on one-to-one with me is because they're in big doo-doos and they need a big change fast, basically. Okay, so your VIP program is a much higher price program. It's not something you promote loads. You're going to have people knocking on the door to you for it. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, if you're going into the corporate area, it's slightly different. If you're going to the corporate area, it's much less about creating that structure. You don't need the freebies and the low risk and so on. You're going to have like your main signature program. You're probably going to have a VIP, which again, you will want to restrict how many of them you sell. So I have a corporate program, and within that there's a little bit of bandwidth as to what I offer. It's a very specific corporate program. It's very specific as to what I'll get known for. I'm very clear on what that is, and the marketing is different. Marketing to the corporates is a really different scenario. It's not about social media. It does take time, but it's not about building that trust in that way. It's about going through the process and being very professional about it. And obviously recommendations and referrals and so on are really important. Okay, right. So I've talked you through now 6 things I really, really wanted you to be clear about if you were going to really go for it with your coaching or service-based business. And then I've talked you through building a really solid structure to your business, either for you mass content creators to rein you in a bit, or for those of you who don't like creating content, this is to give you some realism about what you need to create. Freebies, low risk, signature, a VIP you don't offer very often. Now, next thing I wanted to talk to you about was, can I do it for that one? I don't know if I can fit that one in. Yes, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about was going online, and I wanted to give you a reality check about online stuff. People will tell you that going online is obviously the way to go. People will tell you this is where the money is and that it's easy, and that and you'll see it all the time on Facebook. Create your offer in 5 days, make £1,000 immediately, and so on. And it's rubbish, right? Those people who are able to do that have got a background. They've got something that's backed them up, all right? So you can, and I wouldn't, don't wait until it's perfect. Definitely get out there and start offering what you're doing. And if you like creating content like I do, and if you're very good at downloading it like I am, then yes, absolutely. You could download an idea, you could offer it out, and you could run it straight away. Okay, but to create a stable, reliable, solid business is going to take longer than that. So I'll give you a good example, which is my body reboot program. My body reboot program, it's been built over years and years and years. So I actually wrote a book on weight loss in 2011, okay? And I had been helping people with weight loss since I lost weight before my son. So that would be 15 years ago, right? So I didn't just go, oh, look, weight loss is really important. I'll write a program on that. Yeah, so let's be really real about it. I did have some experience. I did have a lot of personal experience. Right. So then I decided, I had the book that I'd put together, so I decided to put together a program. Remember the one I said that I charged lots for and it felt really heavy? That was a 6-month program. It had so much stuff in it. Oh my God, it was way too much. So I ran that program for over 6 months, right? As a beta program. And it was brilliant, but it was just way too heavy, yeah? And during that process, I'd always had a little detox that I loved doing, I regularly did it, and I ran that for free. I realised I loved it, and that little Facebook group with that little detox in it had a lovely energy, really, really light, was very, very popular, and the little detox was really, really popular as well. And so I started engaging and communicating with these people and started to realise that A lot had changed in 15 years, about how I now tackle weight loss, because I tackle it from a very intuitive thing, and I'm all about the health and fitness, and it's all about eating for pleasure. So there'd been a really big change, which meant that loads and loads of that complicated stuff wasn't needed. But it meant that I then created this new program called the Body Reboot Program, which was much more affordable, much easier, and much lighter. Okay, I have run that whole program for a whole 3 months, and therefore got it completely systemized, so that now it runs like runs so easily. Just wanted to give you that reality check. All those coaches out there going, yeah, go online. It's easy money. It's so simple. You can just create a program. You can create an this program, this business booster, I downloaded, as they say. It came to me fast. I put it out. I gave 1 day's notice, and I had 25 people on it. And this time I gave you a week's notice, and I had another 25 people join. Yeah, it was put together really fast, but quite clearly I have had some previous experience. Yeah, but I just wanted to give you some reality to online creation. It is fast, but it also does take a really long time. If you actually look at that health and fitness program I've now created, it will have been a year of running it. Yeah, yes, it's been bringing in some money in the meantime, but it will have been a year of running it before it was really totally solid, yeah? So, I just wanted to give you a bit of a reality check about online. I'm a big fan of online, but I do not think that you should all go online, right? And I think if you are not very techy, that's absolutely fine. You can still go online, but factor into your business plan getting some support, getting a virtual assistant who can take, what you say and stick it into a document, or do your social media post for you, or make it reliable. I was in a very expensive membership program, which was brilliant when this woman had an au pair, and when she lost her au pair, fucking hell, it was just, no. Wasn't brilliant. It wasn't well organised. It wasn't sorted. It wasn't. So, there's some things I wanted to say here. Yes, get going. Yes, if you love creating content, you will need to have been around for a while. Now, so if you just decide to go online, how do you get it going? You are going to need to start out. Always work out what your ultimate price is. Say that and then discount down. So don't just start a discounted, but you will need to start free or offer a few free places on it, or offer some discounted places in order to get it for free. It's about getting momentum. You need, the current way business works is you need testimonials, you need momentum. Okay, so if you do create something online, you will need to get some momentum, get some free testimonials, offer it out discounted to start off with. And whilst you're going to be spontaneous, you do need to have a plan, and you do need to be consistent. And that's probably one of the biggest. They make out that you can create an online course, for instance, and then it can just be sitting, earning you money. It's not going to just sit and earn you money. Don't be ridiculous. That's absolutely so misleading. If you create an online course, of course it can be. I'm signed up to an amazing company that sell brilliant online courses, but when you look at it, she's put so much content in. You have to do assessments, so she's constantly doing that as well. There is constant newsletters, constant marketing on Facebook, constant tips that she's given. So yes, absolutely, if you have a shed load of stuff that you can share with people, and you're saying it over and over again, which could be really boring and is pointless, stick it in an online course. Absolutely, but don't think that that's all you're going to have to do. You're going to need to do newsletters. You are going to need to share helpful tips. You're going to need to still have those freebies and that lead generation. And to be honest, if you were going to go, I go the route of membership groups, because online courses, I like the connection. And online courses, I've done it. I've got 6 online courses. Yeah, I've sold all of them because I don't have the heartfelt connection of them. Once I took them out of a group and put them online, yeah, they just went So if I was going to want to sell them, I would actually need to get some advice from and actually pay someone to set up a really pucker sales funnel, way more technically than I'm capable or willing to actually do, and I would need to be investing in it constantly. So with it, what a sales funnel is you'll have an advert, it will offer something for free, then it will trigger them to buy something for £7 or £19 or something like that, and then they will be in a loop that will then encourage them to then buy the next program. Yeah, that's what the sales funnel is. So that's how you would have the passive income of an online course that continue to feed you. Very valid, but you're not just sitting there doing nothing and it's feeding you money. It's not the way it works. If you decide to run online groups like this, you do need to be consistent. You need to plan ahead. You need to schedule ahead. And if you're not techie, I would get yourself some support. It's really valid, but it's really techie. So if the concept of online turns you off, then I would put it to one side for a while and spend some time in some online scenarios, programs, free or not free, whatever, and start to feel much more confident. The other thing is, and I have not written it down here, but don't go spending shed loads of money on an online course platform until you've tested it, you've got it right, and so on. That's what Facebook is for. You use Facebook, you use the units in Facebook, you create a group, you stick all your stuff in there, you play with it, you beta test it, you make sure it's good. And only when you know it's going to pay for itself do you stick it online. And then you come and ask me, because there's very different platforms. So I'm just moving my stuff online to an online portal now. If you do run online stuff, bear in mind, it can become really overwhelming. You need to have very, very clear systems. So you need records of who joined, when they joined, what was agreed, how long they're meant to be in for, because you'll probably have lots of different agreements in the beginning. You need to be clear on how you're going to manage their payment plan. You will need a contract to make sure that, it's agreed as to like notice periods for leaving and so on. And I've had this situation in this one of copyright. You'll need that as well, and you'll need a cancellation policy. You need a cancellation policy anyway if you're working with people. The minute you have a cancellation policy, you won't have people messing you around. So I love online stuff. Online courses are great. I think they're a really great way of providing good value to people for really affordable prices, but it's not the easy option, is the only thing I would say. Don't hold back because you're scared of technology, but it's not. And then the other thing I want to say to you is treat it, so if you run an online course or if you run an online membership program, treat it as you would a real one, a face-to-face one, right? You wouldn't have clients in for a one-to-one or run a workshop without cleaning the space energetically and physically, would you? All right. So when I start a Facebook group, I energetically clean it, right? And I energetically set it up with a clear intention, and I keep cleaning it. I also keep it neat and tidy so you can find stuff. I've been in online programs, especially booster programs like this, where people didn't keep track of everything and they didn't use units, and by the time you got to 2 or 3 days in, because there was lots of engagement, you had no clue where anything was, and it got really messy and very overwhelming, and it was all like that. All right, so if you're going to run something online, make sure that you do keep it neat and clean and structured, and if you're not good at that, get some advice on it. Be really careful about the balance between energy in the group and being too noisy. So for instance, you've got these business boosters and there's a lot of energy and a lot of focus, because from Monday to Friday we've got those 4 posts going out every day and more. Okay, so there's a lot and lots of energy. You couldn't have that constantly. You'd exhaust your audience if you had that going on constantly. I am in a group where there's lots of noise from people all the time. I mean, it's just made me switch off completely, right? So balance that. And it's okay for people to leave. Remember that. Think of your group like your you know, if you had a meetup in your kitchen, if somebody didn't want to be there, you don't want to have them sitting in a corner just reading a book and completely ignoring everybody. You don't want that. That'd be like weird, hey? So you don't want them in your groups either, right? So don't worry about people leaving and so on. I know that some people have strict rules, 6-month programs, 3-month programs, investing and all the rest of it. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have a 1-month notice period, that's all. And for some things I'll have like a minimum. So the reality is to lose weight, you know, I'm going to say minimum 3 months, but I'm also going to know that's not going to be a huge investment, so it's fine. And if you start an online program and you start with the content in Facebook and then you move it off online, my other warning to you is be careful not to then strip the energy out of the Facebook group, because I've seen so many people do that, and then that Facebook group becomes somewhere that they kind of just seem to appear when they've got something to sell. It's just like really yucky. Yeah, you still need the nice thing about Facebook group is it creates a sense of energy and so on. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Where are we at? Getting a bit tight. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about online programs, right? And if you decide to take your stuff online, whether you should or whether you shouldn't, and look, be different. Do face-to-face stuff. You know, one of the ways of being really successful is to be different. Yeah, everybody's going online. Now, because I know of a couple of people. Oh, damn. Hold that thought. Stay there. It's a delivery and it's for my son, so I've got to get it. Stay there. Sorry. Right. Yes, now then, somebody was talking to me about clients and they really needed to bring some clients in quite quickly. If you look at the business clinics, there is one about how to bring in more money quite quickly. There's overlap with this, but there's some slightly different things in it as well. It's definitely worth me giving you these 10 tips, and I'm going to run through it really, really fast. And to be honest, with a lot of what I'm giving you, I suppose this is one of the things about the low risk or free things. What you do is you tell somebody what they need to do, right? And that's what I'm telling you. And loads of you are going to be able to take this and go off and do it. And you'll then either be able to make enough money that means that you can then pay for some support with me because you've decided you want to, or you'll be all right on your own. Do you know what I mean? Whereas other people are going to look at this and go, yeah, that's great, and I get what you're saying, but actually I'm going to need a bit of hand-holding with that. And so that's where they would then carry on with me. So that's what you're thinking of as well when you're creating your free and your low-risk programs, right? Okay, so how to get more clients and how to get them in quickly. Number one, create some momentum. Create some momentum. You need free sessions, discounts, testimonials. You need to go to micro-influencers, bloggers, get reviews. You need to build up the momentum. Get done what needs to get done, right? Just get out there. If you work one-to-one, then fill those sessions up. You would normally be working one-to-one with people by doing either freebies or things for reviews or discounted things or stuff like that. Create momentum, number one. 2, check inside for some resistance or fear. Why are you not bringing in clients? For me, it was a fear of my lack of ability to be consistent. I have therefore created concrete systems in all of my online programs. That means that I absolutely know exactly what I'm going to say, when I'm going to say it, months and months in advance. Right? That means that I can absolutely know I can be reliable to people, whatever is going on in my life. Why do you have resistance or fear about clients coming in? Because you do. Otherwise you'd have them, right? I did. So I know you do. If you need help, just ask. Number 3, it's not okay to just sell or market yourself once. Consistently put your heart into consistently selling and marketing constantly. I'm still probably, some of you are watching this on catch up, so maybe not, but I'm still selling the business booster, right? I did it for a whole week beforehand and I was still mentioning it afterwards every single day. I even put a thing up on my story saying, I'm really sorry, it's going to be like business booster for ages. I don't do huge launches because I can't be fagged. My launches are a week and that's it. But once is not enough. Put your whole heart into consistently selling and marketing it. And you will find that there's a point in time where you start to tail off and you stop doing it. That's when you need to keep going. Okay? Number 4, check for strategic or systems or skill gaps that stop people from getting through to you. Yeah, so many times in normal businesses, I tried to book an osteopath for my son. I tried how many people? 1, 2, 3, 4 people before eventually I was so peed off. I went to the person that I knew could do it, but I didn't really like them, but I could book with them. It's like, make sure that your strategy, your systems, and your skills gap. Do you have any skills gaps? I mean, I'm talking real skills gaps. I'm not talking about fears and worries about not being good enough. Do you have any skills gaps? If you do, go fill them. Because if that's a problem, if that's one of the reasons why you're not getting clients, then, Number 5, I've talked about this with 3 people this week. Take the pressure off bringing in new clients by going and getting a job and by reducing your costs. Do a budget. Reduce your costs, get a part-time job. Taking the pressure off will enable your business to breathe. It will enable you to breathe, and that will take the desperation away, and that will bring people in. Needing to bring clients in is just like the biggest turn-off in the world. It's just so unfortunate and so ironic, but that's what it is, okay? And listen to what you're saying to lots of people. I was telling people that and thinking, oh, well, I just don't see what kind of job I can do because of the Lyme disease. But then I was also telling them, it's not okay that all of us who are so interested in, they call us light workers. It's not okay that all of us are just doing coaching and not actually in the workplace. You actually need us in there to lighten the workplace, just as you need us in the corporate world. And hence I'm going back to the corporate world because, it's needed. Number 6, what's your thoughts? This is huge. This is a huge course that I'm talking about, but what's your thoughts? The law of attraction, watch what you're thinking, watch what you're saying, make sure you've got self-care, make sure that you're journaling all your crap out, make sure you're meditating, make sure you're feeling good. Number 7, make sure you're walking your talk and behaving as you want your clients to do. If you're a facialist, for goodness sake, look after your skin. If you're selling, like me, a health and fitness program for mums, hey cat, go away, not yet. If you're selling a health and fitness program, look after your health and fitness, prioritize it. If you are selling a meditation program, make sure you're meditating. If you're telling people to look after themselves, make sure you're looking after yourself, yeah? If you're selling coaching stuff, make sure that your mindset is good, because otherwise you're talking, but people pick up on it, yeah? Right, so number 7, are you walking your talk? Number 8, focus on what you want and what is successful and what is abundant in your life. I know it's really, really difficult if you're not bringing in enough clients and you're not bringing in enough money. A huge percentage of coaches and businesses are in exactly the same position. Focus on what you do want, focus on where you are successful, focus on where you are abundant, keep focusing more and more and more on that, and you will feel more and more abundant and you will bring in more and more clients that way. Whilst doing all of this, make sure you are having fun, feeling joy, feeling pleasure, and distracting yourself from negative thoughts. When things get really, really bad, you might not even be able to manage your thoughts, in which case, watch a film, go to listen to a concert. There are free concerts, so don't throw at me the fact this costs you money. Go and see a friend, go and do something, distract yourself from the negative thoughts until you can bring yourself back to that place of joy and fun and pleasure. You can be experiencing joy, fun and pleasure whilst being completely brassic and in a terrible financial situation. I know, so I know it's possible. Okay? And number 10, just managed to fit all of this into an hour. Can't manage it. Number 10, manage your money, manage your clients. right? Number 10 is manage your money, manage your clients. So you need to be sure you're managing your clients, make sure that you're rebooking your clients, make sure that you are managing your money, make sure that you're analysing your accounts on at least a monthly basis, if not weekly. Make sure you're managing your personal finances and as well. Why would the universe give you more money or more clients if you're not managing it? And number 11, I just thought about, make sure that you consider the ones you've already got. It's not always about getting new clients. What more can you do for your existing clients, right? What old clients would be interested in your new program? What old clients might actually be interested in what they've always had before, but they've just forgotten to book in? What old clients need a reminder, a newsletter, a Facebook message, a quick check-up on how they are? For instance, I've left several Facebook groups or programs and no one's actually checked up on me. A little bit later on, how are you? Yeah, I know one of them was a huge program. I know she earns a shed load of money. I think she earns like 100,000 a month or something crazy like that. Yeah, fine. Well, then create a system in place where you check on people. Check on your old clients. See how they are. Make sure you're sending a newsletter. Make sure that you are consistently marketing and contacting people and saying, I'm here, right? If you want clients, make sure they know you're there. Make sure they know you mean business. Look at my Facebook tips, free Facebook tips thing, and look at my free journaling thing to get some of the crap out of your head. Phew. So that was huge. I can't believe I managed to actually get through all of that in the hour. So chuffed. Any questions, please stick them below. I wanted to give you a sense of what's really achievable. All of this is really achievable, but I don't want to mislead you with the concept of there being shortcuts or the concept of the fact that the idea that you can go from 0 to 20,000 in a month tomorrow. You can do it really, really quickly. I know loads of people who've done it really, really quickly. But they also had other stuff in place, right? You do too. I want you to appreciate what you already have in place. And I want you to focus on, you need to get momentum going, but make sure that what you create is reliable and long lasting. So it's got solid foundations, and that you're solid in it and that it's good for you, it's what you want. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to say? Yeah, just appreciate yourself and what you can give to the world, whilst being honest with yourself about what you do and don't want to do. Does that make sense? Whew. Right then, anything I can do to help, that's what the Business Booster is for. I'm here. Just ask away. You've got plenty of time to ask. And if you do, if this is the sort of thing that you know that you want to do and you are going to want to carry on with me, the Business Booster is going to be running every 2 to 3 months from now on, and you are going to get the opportunity to stay in. And any of you who are in the situation where actually you want to do more and go deeper in it, be constant basically, then there is going to be that as well. And of course, you're going to get a great deal on that. Okay? Take care, everybody, and see you again soon. So we've got our next clinic on Friday.